Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Ashley, and today, whew, I just want to have a real talk, sit down conversation about depression. It's heavy on my heart because I think many people deal with it oftentimes, but it's just overlooked and swept under the rug. I want to create these videos that have been about me discovering more of my purpose, and to be completely honest, some of the hiccups I have dealt with is definitely overcoming negative emotions and finding strategies to fight through it. So I want to talk about what those strategies have been for me. So let's get into it. I feel like the topic of depression is honestly overlooked and easily overlooked. I can speak for myself. I have been dealing with negative emotions in the past and completely skipped over it and just kind of like kept going about my life until my body was like, no, I need for you to sit down. I need for you to address this. And I think we can even do it with our family or with friends, where someone may be reserved or more quiet, or, kind of distance, or you just see like a change within them and we ignore it. Or it gets swept under the rug by something like, that's just how that person is, or that's how they are, or yeah, they're acting different. And when in actuality, they may need help. Like they really may need like the attention or help in some way. Okay, so depression can look so many different ways, honestly. It can look like just being tired all the time. It can look like having pains within your body. It can look like having like extreme fatigue, so that kind of goes into being tired. And it can look like just being sad, withdrawn, losing interest in things that you once enjoyed. Literally, the list goes on. And it can be started from just like something genetic, or a life event taking place, or some type of childhood trauma. And it just simply could also be with like the makeup of your brain, or like your brain structuring. So it's so many different reasons why someone could be dealing with depression, and I want to get into like more specifically my why and what happened for me. So let's get into it. So for me, when I was just overcoming a lot of negative emotions, it had a lot to do with life events that was taking place. More specifically, just like work and the situation that was taking place there, and also just me putting this pressure on myself, I think, to be at a certain age and have things figured out and life to look this certain way. And I feel like things were good. I just feel like I had these imaginary pressures on myself, and B, I just felt pretty unhappy in the position that I was in. I talk about it in this video, so go check it out. But I remember one day specifically just like sitting at work and feeling like my chest getting tight, and realizing like, oh, like I'm always having a headache, or I am dealing with like GI issues and I can't figure out what's going on, or I literally just feel so down and not myself. And I don't know like where this even came from. Like it literally snuck up on me. Just saying all that to say, like, when you deal with depression or deal with negative emotions, it can definitely come from something positive, and just being like so overwhelmed in the season that you're in. Like, yes, it was positive for me to have a job, and I think I overlooked my emotions. Like, girl, you have a job. Like, you need to enjoy the opportunity and suck it up, because some people would love to have that. So I think there was a moment where I cut that thinking off, and I realized like, this is real for me and this is bothering me right now in my life. What do I need to do to get out of this rut? Because if I don't, it's not going to be good, and it's going to keep spiraling in the wrong direction. So I think there was just like a crossroads for me where I was like, I have to figure this out. I have to figure out what is in my toolkit that I can pull out and help myself. I'm always helping others. I'm always being the strong individual. You need help. And like, you have the knowledge and have the information there to help yourself. So what exactly does that look like? So what I did during that season was create a toolkit that specifically worked well for me and what I was dealing with during that time. And honestly, I still pull a lot of these things out now to kind of work through it. And my number one thing was simply identifying my trigger. So my triggers during that season had a lot to do with the work. I would see negative emotions arise like right before I would start working, like the night before or the Sunday before. Like I would literally start to feel so anxious and like down and sad and just like in a bad place, like right before. I realized that, okay, right in this very moment, I can't change the situation. Like I'm not like planning to walk away tomorrow. So what can I do to work through it? And I think a big thing for me was honestly capturing all of those negative thoughts, because if you don't, they will just run rampant. And for me, I'll have one thought and then go down these different rabbit holes of like, well, what if this? Well, what about this? And then this. And it's like, wait, I need to stop it at the source. And I was just reminding myself of these things. And I oftentimes spent a lot of time journaling and just kind of letting things out and dissecting it myself so that I can just kind of see on paper what's happening and make sure that I'm just like reminding myself that the way in which I'm feeling, the way in which my body is feeling, these emotions start in my brain and the thoughts start there as well. So I need to figure out a way to stop all of those thoughts that take place when I go down these rabbit holes. So that was the number one thing that I started to do and that I still do. All right, so the second thing in my toolkit is making sure that I have the right diet. For me back then, I honestly just wanted all the cookies, all the cake, all the comfort food that made me feel good or brought me comfort, which wasn't actually what I needed. So I tried to eliminate all of the processed foods I was eating, all of the caffeine, all the artificial sugars, and replace it for healthier options. And I made sure that I was getting enough water in my body and drinking enough water. I made sure that I was eating fruits and vegetables more often, like just incorporating a lot more greens and spinach and kale and all that goodness into my diet, and just eating whole foods. So like eliminating all the processed things that was in my life, all the bread, all the chips, all of that. Like I literally just stripped myself of it. And honestly, it helps. It helps so much. Now I know, like, if I fall off the bandwagon, I'm not eating as good, I kind of can start to feel that, like, oh, something's off. Like, something's going on. So it definitely plays a huge factor. So the third thing in my toolkit is making sure I do things that I enjoy every single day. And I know that when you're feeling down or feeling depressed, it's so hard because one of the symptoms could be feeling super sleepy and fatigued and just not wanting to do things at all and have like a loss of interest in things that you once enjoyed. But I remember just being like, okay, I have to get off this couch. I'm pulling myself off the couch. And I love doing things like being outdoors, and there was a trail behind my house, so I would like go on a walk oftentimes. And I would also keep fresh flowers in my house. I still do it now. I absolutely love just coming home to fresh flowers and just highlighting different senses. Like honestly, paying attention to your different senses, like what you see, what you smell, really plays a big factor in that. So just doing the simple things that I could every day to kind of make sure I'm good. Even if I was feeling down, fatigued, whatever it was, it's like, okay, I'm gonna pull myself off this couch and I'm gonna go on a walk, or I'm gonna go do something that I love. All right, so the next thing that I did was get help and like start going to counseling and kind of get that process going. Something that bothers me is just like this huge stigma that is still around mental health, and we've came a long ways, but I think that we have to destigmatize the topic of mental health and realize that you can get help and it literally be okay. The same way we go to a doctor, you can go and talk to a mental health professional and get the help that's needed. I will say you have to do your research. You have to search. For me, I wanted somebody who was culturally competent and is able to talk me through these different things I'm feeling. So if I'm going through some type of microaggression or something at work, I wanted someone who could kind of talk me through that process. I also needed somebody who was a Christian counselor. So I did take my time and kind of do a lot of deep digging and research to find the right person. And honestly, during that first counseling session, that first intake, it was just so relieving just to like let these emotions out and talk about it and take off this cape. Like, yes, I can help other people. Yes, I can counsel others, but I literally need someone to help me through what I'm dealing with right now and help me process these different emotions I'm feeling so that I can just come out better on the other side. All right, so my last thing in my toolkit and the absolute most important thing that I have is making sure that I spend enough time in prayer and meditating. Like when that area of my life slips, so does everything else. It just feels like all the other blocks start to fall. So making sure that I'm like reading, meditating on positive scriptures, watching different sermons, and just spending enough time with God and filling myself up with positive things versus, things that are just going to cause me more worry and stress. And one of my favorite verses ever, in something I meditated on daily during that time, I literally had it on my bedside table. It is Jeremiah 29:11. And it reads, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." You guys, that verse blessed me so much because it allowed me to just think, okay, Ashley, you can't worry about what is in the future. Like, God created you and knows all of the things and has a great, great, great plan for you. So you need to take these things off of your shoulders and just give it to him and place it at his feet. And sometimes things may seem like this huge mountain to us, but to God, it's like literally nothing, and he can just overcome it and help us overcome it if we give these things to him. So these are some of the things that are in my toolkit that I literally pull from every single day. Again, every day is not perfect, but I just have to remind myself that it's okay if I'm not feeling this emotion of happiness right now, but what do I do to help me get to the best space mentally? And digging back and looking at the things in my toolkit helps me so much. So if you guys have certain things that you use or that you do, then feel free to leave them down below. I think it could be helpful for others or helpful for me as well to see it. My prayer and my hope is that we just as a whole can stop self-medicating and literally educate ourselves and get the help that is necessary. We go through a lot every single day. There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of things that we are faced with. So let's make sure that we normalize the idea of getting help and talking about mental health. Like, it's something I'm super passionate about. So if you have questions, concerns, whatever it is, feel free to leave it down below. I am so glad that you guys stopped by my channel. I can't wait to see you in my next video. Until then, bye guys. Neighbors, please stop walking so hard. Oh my gosh. A train is going by. There's a dog. There's another train. Oh my gosh. Bye guys.